Hey ExJWs, thanks again for stopping by. If you're new to the channel, my name is Riley and I'm a former Jehovah's Witness. And today I'm joined by Stephen Shuster. Stephen was born into the Jehovah's Witness religion, but was recently disfellowshipped after marrying an unbeliever. Stephen had already started waking up though after witnessing a lot of corruption within the elder arrangement. Hi Steve, how are you doing today?
I'm good, sir.
So we got into contact recently. I think you sent me a message on Facebook Messenger, saying that it would be great for us to get together and have a chat.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got a lot of stories to tell.
Good. I'm looking
It's been
forward to
a
hear
long
them.
time coming. Been a really long time coming. Over 30 years involved with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Over 30 years being one, off and on. I've seen a lot, and just I think it's time for them to be exposed. I think that people need to know the truth about them so that they can come to their own conclusions.
Okay, so please tell us how you first became a Jehovah's Witness.
Well, I was born in fourth generation. There was there wasn't any, there was no choice in the matter. That's just what I was going to be, whether it's what I wanted or not. And trouble started. I got baptized around 12, and trouble started around 13. Just normal kid stuff, just sneaking out, maybe having a drink, maybe having a cigarette, maybe smoking a little pot. Nothing that teenage kids don't get into.
Right, right. And so you were born in, and were you ever baptized?
Yeah, I got baptized at 12.
You got baptized at 12. Wow, that's pretty young. And what motivated your decision to get baptized at 12?
It was what everyone was doing, around my age group, and it just felt like it was time.
Mm,
But I think that, and a few of my relatives that weren't witnesses, they tried to warn me about the consequences of my decision. But I didn't. I really wasn't trying to hear that at the time. But if I would have been made aware of all the rules and how it can affect everything that you do and how you live, I definitely would have made a different decision.
sure, sure. And was there any pressure from your parents to get baptized at that age?
Oh no, I didn't feel any pressure. Like I said, it was just more like what everyone was doing
Mm,
at the time. And you get, as a child, you get commended for it, you get recognition for it, you get a pat on the back. So of course, to a certain extent, it's going to motivate you to want to do more.
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, it was a similar thing for me as well. I mean, I didn't feel any pressure from my parents to get baptized, but it just felt like the logical next step, for me.
Right. That's the life that was laid out in front of you. So you try to walk you try to walk the path as closely as you can, but it's not necessarily your own. But you hadn't quite made that decision yet either as a person. But I mean,
Yeah,
it was just it's interesting to look back now and think about, well, I couldn't decide what type of school clothes I wanted to wear. I couldn't decide if I wanted my hair a certain style, but I could decide if I wanted to give my life away. It's just the scales don't balance. The scales don't balance on that. The math is bad.
yeah, absolutely, definitely. I mean, at 12 years old, what can you do? I mean, legally, there's certain things you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to enter a contract, but basically, that's exactly what baptism is. You're entering a lifetime contract.
But right after I got baptized, I started getting in trouble for different things, with them. Things that might not have been a big deal for someone who wasn't raised a witness, but a big deal for someone who is raised a witness. It doesn't make any sense, some of it. And I remember I got reproved privately when I was 13, and then I got disfellowshipped when I was, uh, I think I was 16, turning 17. It was right in the middle of there. But what was interesting about that was, so my dad had just been appointed the presiding overseer at the time, but there was another elder who coveted that position. So he used me getting in trouble to get my dad, kicked out basically of being an elder, and he took his position. Yeah. And when I appealed the judicial decision, they put me in front of three other men, and one of them was a fair man, but the other two, you could just tell it was already decided, you know. And at the time you're growing up, this is the late 90s, the early 2000s. Information, it's not like how it was now. You can feel that it's wrong in your heart. You can know that they're treating you wrong just from a human standpoint, but you have no reference for that. You have nothing. Now you can just type a sentence into the search bar and boom, information on that pops up. But back then it was just the Stone Age, really.
Yeah, that what you said is really shocking to hear about that elder who, used your judicial case as sort of like a springboard to become the coordinator of your congregation.
Right.
That's really corrupt. And actually, that's one of the things that started me on my road to waking up, was seeing how much corruption and injustice there was in the elder arrangement.
Yeah, and just from a human standpoint, it's corruption. We're not even talking about things that are actually like morally wrong. These are just men sitting around having a pissing contest
Yeah,
over
exactly.
mundane duties. but uh but yeah, so I worked my way back. I got reinstated. Um but things were never the same. Things were never the same. After that, I moved away to another. I stayed in state, but I moved to another part of the state, and I just kind of wild out. I had fun for a little while, and I made my way back to my hometown. But I still, like to party and have a good time, and I ended up getting publicly reproved again. And let's see, there's a lot. So I moved away again, and this time I actually decided, to try to be serious about it. And I had my publisher cards transferred, and they send the letter as well, the the letter of invitation or welcoming letter or whatever it's called. And so I ended up befriending some of the youth in there that were around my age, a little younger. And there was an elder there who partook of the emblems and told everybody he was anointed and things of that nature. And he had done it for many years. And I really didn't think nothing of it. I just kind of, the type of guy I was, I just avoided everybody. I'd go to the meeting, say hi to the people I wanted to say hi to, and then make my way home, you know. But this kid, he ended up telling me, he was like, that elder propositioned him with money. Yeah, he ended up being a pedophile. And when I confronted all the other elders on that body, they just kind of took my statement and left it at that. And then what happened was actually another child ended up getting uh, sexually assaulted, and that's how he was exposed. Yeah. So they didn't really take
Your
my word for it. Yeah.
Wow. He actually
Yeah.
offered your friend money for
Yeah.
sex.
Right.
Oh, that's
And he was he
oh
was he was older. He was like 16, and he said no. But like I said, it ended up happening to another child in that kingdom hall that was much younger, and that's how everybody found out. And he was actually disfellowshipped for 2 years. And what struck me, you know how you go through life and different red flags appear, and so this was one of them. I remember a few people being so like just, oh, thank Jehovah that he's been disfellowshipped and all that. And I was just mad. I was upset because I couldn't see the justice in it. No, this man needs to go to prison for as long as possible, and he needs to be a registered sex offender so this can't happen to anybody else. You know, the you need to put this into the hands of the law. You know, disfellowshipping somebody is not what I would consider justice.
No, not at all. And to the best of your knowledge, were criminal charges ever brought against him for what he did?
No,
Not
he's still
for.
walking around.
Wow. Is he back in the congregation?
Yes,
You know,
and they
he is.
yeah, yes. This last judicial meeting I had was with it was a combination of two different kingdoms that comprised my committee, and one of them was from that kingdom hall. And I told him, I said, why is it that you're meeting with me here now? Because I would rather marry somebody not of my same religion, but you have a whole pedophile in your congregation. You should be more concerned about that than what I'm doing.
Good grief. That's
So,
really.
oh, it's disturbing. It's very disturbing. I had to write multiple letters to the headquarters. I had to write multiple letters. Yeah, because I just wouldn't stand for it. They were trying to use my past as being like a party guy and, type of guy that was kind of on the edge, of being religious and not being religious and enjoying to have a good time. There's having a good time and there's crossing the line. He was crossing the line. And it's like I confronted him in the judicial meeting. I told him, I said, you can do whatever you want. This world, we have freedom, but you can't run around telling everybody that you're an anointed elder and be a child molester. Like, it's just it doesn't work like that. And everybody got mad at me because I had emotion and I was angry, and I used curse words. But it just seemed like it was unacceptable. And at the end of the meeting, they wanted to pray, and I told them that I wasn't going to pray with them, so I didn't.
I'm not surprised at all. I wouldn't want to pray for them either. You know.
No, so I removed myself, and I left, and I thought it would be a good idea to get away from there, you know. So I got away from there, and I went to New York State, and I stayed up there for 2 months. And while I was up there, I attended the Kingdom Mall, and there was a group of people my age, and we all like to party, we all like to drink and smoke and just have a good time, and but some of them were like worshiping the devil. They would go to the meetings half of the time and they would like worship the devil the other half of the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And and so that threw me off completely because I'm like, here I am. I get in trouble for maybe smoking pot or having a bottle of whiskey in my room. And these dudes, you know what I mean? They're going way off left and nothing's happening to them. So it just, after that, it just kind of, I just went off and did my own thing for a while. And then
Did you eventually go back?
yeah, I did. I ended up having a child in 2012, or finding out I was having a child in 2012. And by the time she got here in 2013, I had started studying again, and I started going to meetings like intermittently, hit or miss. But I was studying with an older gentleman, that would come over, and he was kind to me. Don't get me wrong. 99% of Jehovah's Witnesses, they're good people. They're kind people. You know, that's what makes this such a travesty, is that 1% that just, they ain't shit, and they're soulless, and they're using it as a shell, but most of the time, like, I find that a lot of the older people, they're good people. They're just hanging on to some faith, just like all older people hang on to faith, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that the last judicial that you had, it was for marrying someone who wasn't a witness. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Well, what happened was, back to it, it all coincides with my daughter. So I had my daughter, and her mother, took her away from me for a while, and I didn't ended up having to fight for custody of her. Well, when you're a desperate man, sometimes you make deals. Some people make deals with God, some people make deals with the devil. I made a deal with God. I said, if you give me my daughter, I'll try one more time. Well, I'm not going to say that God worked the circumstances out in my way, because I ended up getting custody of my daughter, and about a year and a half later, her mother passed away, uh, suddenly, from a brain aneurysm. So take with that what you will. I don't think that God would give me my daughter like that. I think just circumstances worked themselves out, and my persistence prevailed. You know. So then after that, yeah, I wanted to be a man of my word, because you just don't pray in bereavement like that and not at least try to be a man of your word, right? So I went back. I started going to meetings again. I started studying. I started trying to wrap my head around, like, okay, this is my life. This is what my life could look like. This is what my life could be. I started going out in service. I shaved. I got all my privileges back. I started commenting. I started dating someone. Um, and just the whole thing. I remember sitting, now this whole time, every now and then, I'm every now and then I'll have a blunt with my beer. You know what I mean? It's every now and then, right? So I'm living this life. I'm kind of living what they would say is a double life, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, if I go through with all this, if I keep living this life, like, at some point I'm gonna have to be 100, and I'm gonna end up getting in trouble again, like, for what, the 15th time, and so I was sitting there, and I was like, this is bullshit. I don't want to live like this. I don't want my life to be like this. I don't want my child to be subjugated to the same childhood that I had. It's restrictive. Like, no. So I kind of just, started flaking off a little bit. And then right around that time, the pandemic hit. It hit the United States. It was early March of 2020. So everything goes virtual. I'm I came to provide care for my grandmother, so I moved in with her so she wouldn't have to go to a nursing home. So me and her and my daughter, you know, twice a week, we're watching on Zoom, we're watching the meetings. I'm just sitting here. I'm not happy. Not happy. I'm not content. This is not what I want to do. This is what everyone says I should be doing, but my soul is not at peace. So I move around. I move around on everybody. I'm like, I'm not going to do this anymore. So then I ended up getting in contact with someone who I've known for the better part of a decade. We watched each other grow up, you know, and the more and more we spent time with each other, the more and more I was like, man, this is who I want to be with. This is who I can be myself with. you know, like I everyone else be damned. Like this is what I want. So we start dating, and I knew right away, I wanted to marry her. I wanted us to be a family. And I knew right away that there would be consequences. And there were. So I started living an authentic life, and that came with posting things on social media. And the next thing I know, I'm getting a call from the elders, and they want to meet with me. And I've never been one to run from it. So I go and meet with them, and I mean, one of them was staring at me like he wanted to fight. The other one was the one that has the pedophile in his kingdom all. And the third one, I can't say nothing bad about him because he's a good guy. You know what I mean? He just kind of was outnumbered. You know what I mean? And when you got somebody who's a wild card like me, you're gonna go with what you perceive as the sure thing. So basically, what they would never really just come right out and tell me. They were just like, the Bible says to only marry in the Lord. And I was like, well, I've tried dating Jehovah's Women witnesses like all throughout my life. And it's just not what I want. Like, I don't want that type of lifestyle. You know what I mean? I don't want somebody looking at me with the expectation that I got to be a ministerial servant or an elder or that I got to go out in field service X amount of, I don't, I try my best as a man, and I think we all should. But to be held to these lofty standards, I mean, it's just going to stress you out. It's going to make your life harder.
Yeah, I absolutely get where you're coming from. I mean, I had similar pressures as well when I was married, and the expectations of, reaching out and everything. And of course, the stress and the pressure that comes with that, the expectation of having to aspire to this role on top of everything else that you're doing as a husband and as a father. It's crushing.
It's overwhelming. And that's why here in the South, it's why you see so many of the men with health problems. That's what I believe, because they just don't have time to take care of it. You got to pick one, and it shouldn't be that way in life. Life is about finding balance.
Absolutely. And life is for living as well.
So after they disfellowshipped me, I was honestly relieved. It's what I wanted. I knew it was coming. There's no way out of it. I've been disfellowshipped before. I've been publicly reproved, privately reproved, like just name it. And I was just done, and I wanted to go out like a man, So I told him, I said, you guys all stole my childhood. You're a part of stealing everyone's childhood. This is a cult, and if it's not a cult, it's a high control group. So I'll see y'all later.
So how, you mentioned that, you said to them that it was a cult or a high control group. So that to me sounds like you'd already started waking up or researching the religion. Tell me about how that came to be.
Well, that starts a long, long time ago, back in around 2007, because I had a roommate and he went through similar issues as me, and we ended up finding a copy of the Elders book on the internet, and we read it, and that's kind of where the thread all started unraveling, to be honest. Yeah, back then.
Yeah. So 2007, you found online a copy of the Elders Manual and you read it. Is there anything else that you researched after that?
No, there really wasn't anything, because at that point, I think I knew. I think I knew because of the restrictive nature of how it was. I knew, but it's also all I knew. So what real choice are many people given when that's your whole social structure, that's your whole family dynamic? I mean, what are you going to really do? You're going to say this is bullshit. You're going to do whatever you want. You're going to get in trouble for it, and you're just going to keep it moving. that's what I did.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So when we were speaking before our interview, you mentioned that you'd watched a lot of my videos on YouTube and some other XJWs as well. How did you stumble across the whole XJW community on YouTube?
It was really, it was something that I had seen. I had seen the videos and quite frankly just ignored it, because in my mind, at first I'm thinking these are angry, these are angry people. Of course they're gonna have negative things to say. I have negative things to say, and I think that's what swayed me, is because I was like, they're pissed, I'm pissed, but a lot of you guys are far more like articulate and docile than me. But I've also seen some of the angry XJWs too, and when they're on there cussing mad and all that, like I feel bad for them, but I also think like, man, it's not a good look. So I've come to the conclusion that like you're not really going to be able to affect change through anger or force. You're going to be able to affect change through living on an authentic life,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you're currently disfellowship now. So how has that affected your family dynamics with, your witness relatives?
Well, I run a business with my dad, so we still speak, but it's really just on like business terms. Now, if he needs me, if he needs my help for anything, I'm more than happy to help. I'm just one phone call away. I'll unload equipment, load equipment. It doesn't matter, you know. But my mother, she doesn't speak to me, and a lot of my extended family that are witnesses, they don't speak to me. But that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I'm in a similar situation. I don't have any contact with my family who are witnesses until so yeah, I completely understand what that's like. Have you been able to form a new support structure outside of the witness community?
Well, believe it or not, there's a lot of people who are witnesses still speak to me. They still say hello to me. I still get phone calls, and they're not the type of phone calls you would think. They're not the overturn to Jehovah phone calls. They're not, hey man, it's good to see you. Hey man, look like you're doing good. My support system is my wife and my family. They keep me grounded, they keep me humble, and it's my happy place. It's where I like to be now. It's where I feel safe, you know. But you'd really be surprised how many current and ex JWs still keep in communication with me. I've had a few of them call me up and tell me, man, I'm so sorry that I judged you so harshly for smoking weed. Like smoking weed is awesome. And I'm just sitting there laughing, like, man, you just, what's that part in Step Brothers? Like, man, I wish we would have had this when we were kids. Like, even better, we got it when we were 40.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's really uplifting to hear that, there are some compassionate witnesses who, still reach out to you.
And I them, because I'm not, you can shun me if that's how you feel, but I'm still the same person that I've always been. Always. I'm still going to speak to you when I see you. And if I can help you, I'm still going to help you. Nothing's changed as far as that goes. And I've had a lot of people, a lot of ex witnesses come out to me and say, I'm gay now, or I have a husband now, or I have a wife now. And I tell them, I say, look, I always knew, and I still love you. It's all good. And it was good then, and it was good now. And I've always been a very accepting person, and I've always seen things. When you grow up a witness, you see things. You see the person who's out of place. And if you're anything like me, you have compassion for them. And those were the people that you befriended, not the ones with the elitist attitude, not the ones with the I'm better than you attitude. No, it was the ones that were relatable, you know. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, what are things like in your life now? Would you say that you're much happier now not being a witness than you were as a witness?
My soul finally found peace. I wake up happy. I get asked the question, they say, Stephen, why are you a morning person? Why do you wake up so happy? I say, man, if you would understand that I woke up unhappy for 30 plus years. So now I wake up with a smile on my face. By far, I'm happier than I've ever been. I don't look over my shoulder. I'm not worried about who's seeing me do what or running back to tell somebody, you know.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I feel the same way as well. I mean, my own experience, there's a certain peace of mind that comes from living your life authentically. You know, being two people, it's not sustainable, and it has a really damaging effect on your psyche. You know, living authentically, I can't express enough how important that is for your own internal peace. And I can see that, you know, you found exactly the same thing.
Yes, yes. Actual peace in your soul, it radiates. It comes off of your smile, it comes out of your eyes. It puts a light in your eyes, you know, but this is the best decision I think I've made thus far in my life because I started to set goals and reach them. I mean, I'm sure it's all part of the maturing process and becoming an adult. But for some of us, when you grow up a witness, that's stunted to a certain extent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you would not believe how many witnesses or ex-witnesses I speak to on a weekly basis who say exactly the same thing. They feel it either currently or when they first left, they felt that they were completely stunted. Like it's like starting a race and everyone is like 20 yards ahead of you, you know.
But I will say this: the best part is I have a zest for life, you know, that not a lot of people my age have. So that there are benefits, and I'm thankful. I gotta look at the positives, man. I'm thankful that I've gotten out with a little bit of my youth left. You know, I can spend my best years now with my family, my wife, my family. They get my best years. You know, I may have wasted my youth. It may have been taken from me to a certain extent, but I'm still determined to live a full life.
Yeah, that's great. That's really uplifting to hear that. And I've heard a lot of witnesses, and not just witnesses, but Christians in general, who feel that there's no purpose to life unless you're using your life to serve within a religion. And I completely disagree with that. I mean, when you realize that, I mean, we were basically fed a pack of lies, you know, the Armageddon and the new system and the resurrection and all of that. But realizing that none of that is true, it really makes you value what you have now. And it when you look at it that way, it can actually that in itself can bring purpose to your life because you think to yourself, right, I'm not gonna live forever. You know, how can I make the best use of my time that I have? And that can actually drive you to live a purposeful life. And I've certainly found that in my experience.
Did it come? It came after you left?
Yeah, it came after I left because I was mentally in right up until last year, up until June last year. I mean, I was physically out, but mentally in for over a year, and it was dreadful. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, you know, being out of the organization but living in fear of Armageddon coming, you know. And then when the pandemic hit, thinking that this is the Great Tribulation and all of that. So yeah, for me, it came after. I woke up after I left, not before.
But I mean, I never sat back and thought like, oh, Stephen, if you do this, you're gonna die at Armageddon. Like, I feel like in my heart, I'm a good person. I know in my soul that I've done good things on this earth and positively affected people. So there's no part of me that has ever thought that I would end up dying, or I I always thought that, there's a creator and he has a place for all of us. He sets a place for all of us. And in part, I've never stopped believing that. That's what I still believe today. There's a creator and he's got a place for all of us.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. So it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you so much for getting in touch with me.
I hope we can speak again soon, man. I've enjoyed it too.
Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks again for chatting with me. And thank you, viewers, for watching. If you haven't already done so, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications so that you're notified each time I upload a new video. Please proceed to Jexit in an orderly fashion, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching to the very end of the video. If you haven't already done so, please like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you like my work and want to help me continue doing it, please support me on Patreon at patreon.com/Jexit_2020. And with that, I'd like to sincerely thank these very special patrons who make these videos possible.